Radha Kunjavihari Madhava Kunjavihari Janavallabha Jivarakari Yodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatida Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Lakaya Chakshuramitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadama Kyam Dadati Sukdantika Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Purijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikakant Radha Kant Namostate Taptakanshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Hari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Purnamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripasam Rupya Vacha Idanang Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Giradhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamang Deving Sarasating Vyasam Tato Jaimudirayet Nashtu Praishva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dishtyamba Te Kukshi Gatak Parak Uman Dishtyamba Te Kukshi Gatak Parak Uman Angshena Sakshad Bhagavan Bhavaya Naha Angshena Sakshad Bhagavan Bhavaya Naha Ma Bhud Bhayang Bhojapater Murshor Na Ma Bhud Bhayang Bhojapater Murshor Gopta Yarunam Bhavita Tavatmaja Gopta Jadunam Bhavita Tavatmaja Dishjambate Kukshi Gatak Parak Puman Angshena Sakshad Bhagavan Bhavaya Naha Ma Bhut Bhayang Bhojavater Mamurshor Gopta Jadunang Bhavitak Tavatmaja Dishtyambate Kukshigatah Paramak Poman Dishtyambate Kukshigatah Parak Poman Angshena Sakshat Bhagavan Bhavayana Ma Bhut Bhayang Bhojapater Mumurshor Gopta Jarunang Bhavetatavatmaja Ishyambate Kukshigata Parakpuman Angshena Sakshat Bhagavan Bhavayana Ma Bhut Bhayam Bhojapater Mumursho Gopta Yadudam Yatha. Ready? Dishyambate Kukshigata Parakpuman Angshena Sakshat Bhagavan Bhavayana Abhut Bhayam Bhojapater Mumursho Dishtya by fortune Amba, O mother, Te, your, Kukshigata, in the womb. See how Dishtyamba in the verse, so Dishtya Amba, two words, but in the verse joined together, Sandhi. So they're in the book, so we should take advantage. Everyone, even though you don't know the rules of Sandhi, but this is called Sandhi when words are joined together like this. So we take advantage. If we're studying the book, this is the complete study. Vishya Amba Te Kukshigata. Kukshigata is a compound word. As I said yesterday, like in English, we have cupboard or sunshine, compound word. Angshena. Are we on this? Kukshigata. Did we say that? In the womb. Para, supreme. Uman, personality of Godhead. Angshena, with all his energies, his parts and parcels. Sakshat, directly. So in the verse, no need to go back. In the verse it said Sakshad Bhagavan. So instead of Sakshat Bhagavan, it's easier to say Sakshad Bhagavan. So that's also Sandhi. Not just joining like Drishtamba, but where the two A's, the two sounds join together, but Sakshat Bhagavan becomes Sakshat Bhagavan. Just like, anyway, so Sakshat, directly. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhavaya, for the auspiciousness of all of us. Ma abhut, never be. So that was joined together. Ma abhut. But actually it was ma bhud, because the da comes before bhayam. So it was ma bhud bhayam. But it's broken into ma abhut bhayam. So bhayam, fearful. Bhojapate, from Kamsa, king of the Bhoja dynasty. Now that was Bhojapater, because of Sunday. So it took the ra in front of Mumursho, who has decided to be killed by the Lord. That was Mumursho, because in front of Mumursho Gopta. So here we see Mumursho. Gopta, the protector. Yadunam, of the Yadu dynasty. Bhavita, will become. Tava Atmajaha, your son. Or when joined together, Tava Atmajaha. So there's an interesting form. I like these Mumursho. Mumursho is from Mrih, the root, which is to die. So we have Mrityu, Janma, the Janma Vyadi, Janma Mrityu Jarad Vyadi. Say again. Yes, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. So birth, death, disease, and old age. So Janma Mrityu. Mrityu is also from Mrit. So this is a form, Mursho. So this is like Yuyutsuva. Yud, that's from Yud, meaning to fight. So Yuyutsu means to desire to fight. In Sanskrit there's a form to desire. Verb takes desiring to do that, whatever it is. Desire to fight. Yuyutsu or Yuyutsuva. My sons are desirous of fighting. You know the verse. And Dharmakshetari Kurukshetri Samaveta Yutsu. Samaveta, assembled. Yuyutsuva, plural. They're desiring to fight. Yuyutsu is singular. So, Mumursho. This is Shashti. Yeah? Shashti Vibhakti. So it means of one who has decided to be killed by the Lord, or desires to be killed. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. O Mother Devaki, by your good fortune and ours, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, with all His plenary portions, such as Baladev, is now within your womb. Therefore, you do not need to fear Kamsa. The verse says, Ma abhut. Ma means just like Ma sucha in the Sarva Dharma. Ma sucha. Don't worry. So Ma abhut bhayam. Ma abhut bhayam. Don't become afraid. Bhayam means fear. We know that from Ahara Nidra Bhaya, Maitunam. Yeah, fear. Suma abhut bhayam. So there's no need to fear Kamsa. Who has decided? Mumurshu. He is mumurshu. He is decided to be killed by the Lord. Your eternal son, Krishna, will be the protector of the Yadu dynasty. The entire Yadu dynasty. So what is that? Can we go back up to the verse? No, I mean, yeah, okay, Gopta. Gopta means the protector, and Yadunam means of all the Yadus. This is that Shashti Bahuvachanam, yeah? Shashti Vibhakti Bahuvachanam. So, Bahuvachanam means plural, more than one Yadu, and Gopta is protector, and of the Yadus. So in English, that's possessive, of the Yadus. And Tava, your Atmaja, your boy, your son. So, purport. The words Parakpuman Angshena signify that Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Parakpuman, he is the Supreme Person. Puman means person. This is the verdict of the Shastra. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Soyam. Thus the demigods assured Devaki. Your son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is appearing with Baladev, his plenary portion. He will give you all protection. So he's Parakpuman and his Angshena, also his parts. Angsha. Angsha means part. Angshena means Tritiya. Tritiya, third vibhakti. Meaning along with his Angshena, his potency or his parts, plenary portion. He will give you all protection, Gupta, and kill Kamsa, who has decided to continue his enmity toward the Lord and thus be killed by him. So of course, these demons, Narad Muni said that there's two ways to become absorbed in Krishna. One is to become his enemy, and one is to become his devotee. But Narad Muni recommends becoming his devotee. So I'm going to read the summary of the chapter. This is the last verse in there's one more verse in the chapter, but it says that verse just it says that, and so the prayers are finished. But this is the last verse spoken by the Devatas. So this is the story. As described in this chapter, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead entered the womb of Devaki to kill Kamsa, all the demigods understood that the Lord was living within Devaki's womb. And therefore, in veneration, in honor, in respect, in adoration, veneration, they offered him the Garbha Stuti prayers. Kamsa, under the protection of his father-in-law Jarasandha, and with the help of his demonic friends like Pralamba, Baka, Chandura, Trinavarta, Aghasura, Mustika, Banu, and Bhaumasura began oppressing the members of the Yadu dynasty. Therefore, the members of the Yadu dynasty left their homes and sought shelter in such states as Kuru, Panchala, Kekoya, Chalva, and Vidarbha. Only some of them stayed with Kamsa as nominal friends. That means friends in name only. So they were afraid of Kamsa and hiding their fear and pretending to be friends. After Kamsa killed the Shadgarbhas, the 6 sons of Devaki, one after another, Anantadev entered Devaki's womb and was transferred to the womb of Rukmini by the manipulation of Yogamaya, who was following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord himself, who was soon to appear as the 8th son of Devaki, ordered Yogamaya to take birth from the womb of Yashoda Devi. Because Krishna and his potency, Yogamaya, appeared simultaneously as brother and sister, the world is full of Vaishnavas and Shaktas. Shakta means energy, the energy of the Supreme, and Shakti. Shakti means the energy, and the worshippers of the energy, the Shakti, they're called the Shaktas, just like Vishnu, worshippers, Vaishnava. And there is certainly some rivalry between them. So there's competition, rivalry, competition between Vaishnavas and Shaktas. Vaishnavas worship the Supreme Lord, whereas Shaktas, according to their desires, worship Yogamaya in forms like Durga, Bhadrakali, and Chandika. Following the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya transferred Baladev, Sankarshan, the 7th child of Devaki, from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. Because Sankarshan appears in order to increase love of Krishna, he is known as Baladev. One may take auspicious strength from him to become a devotee of the Lord, and therefore he is also known as Balabhadra. After Yogamaya transferred the 7th child of Devaki to the womb of Rohini, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared within the heart of Vasudeva and transferred himself to the heart of Devaki. Because the Lord was present in her heart, Devaki, as her pregnancy continued, appeared effulgent. Of course, pregnancy means she had the child in her womb. Upon seeing this effulgence, Kamsa was full of anxiety, but he could not harm Devaki because of their family relationship. Thus, he began indirectly thinking of Krishna and became fully Krishna conscious, just as Narad Muni says that the demons also become Krishna conscious, but the Narad Pancharatra warns against this. Anukulyena Krishna Shilanam, Anukulyena Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmanyanavitam, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. So one should not be inimical. One should be favorable in Krishna consciousness. Have a favorable relationship with Krishna. Meanwhile, Because of the Lord's presence within the womb of Devaki, all the demigods came to offer the Lord their prayers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, they said, is eternally the absolute truth. The spiritual soul is more important than the gross body. And the supersoul, Paramatma, is still more important than the soul. The Supreme Godhead is absolutely independent, and his incarnations are transcendental. The prayers of the demigods glorify and exalt devotees and explain the fate of persons who superficially consider themselves liberated from the conditions of material nature. A devotee is always safe. When a devotee fully surrenders at the lotus feet of the Lord, he is completely liberated from the fear of material condition, material existence. By explaining why the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends, the prayers of the demigods clearly confirm the Lord's statement in Bhagavad Gita. Yada yada hi dharmasya glaniya bhavati bharata apyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam surjamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So this is the summary of the chapter and the prayers of the demigods. I wanted to talk about the beauty of the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam has stories that contain the leelas of Krishna and the activities of the great devotees, the exalted devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva, Narad Muni, Vyasdev, Shukdev Goswami, many others. And of course, avatars of Vishnu, Krishna, and leelas of Krishna. So all these beautiful stories are there in Bhagavatam for our enjoyment. We enjoy in the relationship with Krishna. This is the way to enjoy. Prabhupada explains that watering the root of the tree is the way to nourish the tree. All its branches and leaves are nourished. So the way to enjoy is to offer enjoyment to Krishna. So the traditional way to offer enjoyment in the Vedic system is yajna. In ancient times, in Vedic times, the yajnas were offered to the devatas, to the demigods, karmakanda. So this is, it's not just in the modern language, they use this word propitiate the gods. That means to somehow please the gods or to reciprocate with the gods. But that word is a very cold, sort of scholarly, academic word. It's not, it doesn't give the real idea of yajna. Yajna is to give enjoyment. Yajna, of course, means sacrifice, but it means that we're offering enjoyment. Because Krishna says, Bhoktarang yajna tapasam. So I am the bhokta, I am the enjoyer of the yajnas. But the devas, they also, when someone offers a sacrifice to the devas, they're also getting a portion and they're enjoying. This is the way that humans have a relationship with the devas, and they offer enjoyment. And then humans, we look for reciprocation from the devas. We want something. So that's why people worship the devatas. We want prosperity, we want sons, we want whatever we want, and we want to go to Swarga. But Krishna says, Swargalokam Vishalam, Bhutva Swargalokam Vishalam, and Kshine Martyalokam Vishanti. So, Punya, Kshine Punya. So when the Punya is finished, when your term is finished, then you again return. So it's not a good idea to go in that way. And Krishna says, Bhoktaran Yagita Tapasang. He says, and anyway, he is the ultimate enjoyer of the yajna, of sacrifice. So this Bhagavatam has these explanations as well. The Bhagavatam has the stories about devotees, about Krishna Lila, Vishnu Lila. But Bhagavatam also has the instructions for living. So how we can live, values of life. We understand that there's Tama, Raja, and Sattva. So, of course, Bhagavad Gita explains basically. Bhagavatam explains in more elaborate terms. And Dharma Projita Kaitavotra. Bhagavatam begins by saying that, okay, we're going to throw out all lower forms of dharma and Savai Pungsang Paro Dharma. So in Bhagavad, it's going to discuss the higher form of dharma. The dharma that's not looking for artha kama, that's not looking for money to enjoy sense gratification. So Savai Pungsang Paro Dharma. So many instructions in the Bhagavatam for living, even practical life. In 7th canto, there are different discussions of varnas and ashramas. So these practical discussions and transcendental instructions. How to achieve moksha, how to achieve the lotus feet of Parak Puman, the Supreme Lord. So this is complete. Stories that we enjoy because when we offer sacrifice to Krishna, to Vishnu, Krishna, we enjoy. So how do we offer sacrifice? Yajnanam japa yagyosmi. Yajna, the highest yajna is japa. So we offer sacrifice by chanting japa. This is for Krishna's enjoyment. Not just I'm chanting for duty or because the Guru said, Parampara says, or that this will eventually give me Krishna Prema, something like that. Yes, all these things. But for Krishna's enjoyment, yajna to Krishna, because we want to give enjoyment to Krishna. In the beginning, we're thinking, I want to give enjoyment to Krishna so that I get enjoyment back in reciprocation. But in the advanced stage, as I was mentioning in a previous class, we get too much enjoyment for Krishna as advanced devotees. They don't want, what is that in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? That devotee was fanning Krishna and and he was feeling ecstasy, and he was, no, I don't want this. So advanced devotees then, they get too much enjoyment, and they, please Krishna, stop this. I want to serve you. I want to give you enjoyment. So, but this is the system. This is the, not system, this is the nature of the soul. Jiver Sarupa, Dear Krishna Das, that the Krishna Das is the nature of the soul. So giving that service and experiencing the reciprocation, the enjoyment. So Bhagavat, this is the Bhagavat culture. This, sometimes it's described as the Bhagavat culture. It's based on the stories of Bhagavatam. But it's also based, there are two things. One is the stories that are entertaining, that provide enjoyment, but also the values, learning how to live in a practical way, sattvic life, and transcendental, bhakti. So two things. Then I was thinking, I've written a book, and because this is mainly for Western people, they don't know anything about Vaishnava culture. So modern people, especially in the West, and some Indians also, they call these stories myths. Myth has a few meanings, but in the popular sense, it means just a made-up story. It's not, we don't really believe it. Maybe it has something, might have something important, but it's not actually a true story. So this is a problem when they call it this, because then they have they manufacture, they make up stories that describe the universe, that describe how people came into existence, how the physical world is constructed of atoms and all of their descriptions. If they're biologists or they're chemists or they're sociologists or anthropologists, all these different divisions, they have their descriptions of the physical world, and they publish these descriptions, and basically they're stories. But these stories, they're just saying, this is a wall and it's covered with granite. And these are paintings, and they're various colors, and they have their analysis and their description. But so first of all, these stories are not for enjoyment, simply to satisfy curiosity. And they admit this, that they are satisfying curiosity. They say, what is the harm in that? But these stories are not meant for enjoyment. They're not meant to attract our minds and entertain us. They're not based on ananda. This is the basic principle of life, Satchidananda. So how can we ignore that basic principle of life? Bhagavat is directly related to ananda, anandam buddhivartanam. So Bhagavat, the core of Bhagavat is to enjoy our relationship with Krishna. Rasa. So this is our relationship. Also Bhagavat gives values for human living, sattvic values, and transcendental values, Shuddha Sattva, transcendental values. These stories about the universe, that these people who criticize as myths, their stories have no values, nothing, they provide nothing, no enjoyment, they're boring, and they provide no values for human society. So human society can do anything it wants, sense gratification, anything. Because the stories, the science stories, all the academics, their stories, they provide no values. Science cannot produce values like sattva, shuddha sattva. So their stories, they're empty, but their stories have, anyway, so that's the conclusion, that they have no values. And so in that sense, they're shunya. They're the shunyavadis. They're the Buddhists. They're empty. Shunya means, of course, we know empty or void. Because their stories are devoid of these things, enjoyment and values. And then they're so arrogant, they call these stories myth. And not just Vaishnava, but all Islam, Christianity, all Buddhists, all these, they say, oh, myth, myth, myth. And they have this arrogance, pride. How can they do this? I tell you why. Because science is, people use science to generate technology. So what does technology do? It provides comfort, sense gratification. So technology provides comfort, it provides health, medicine, and the promise of longevity, the promise of long life. So basically, this is what technology is doing. And the people are very attached to this technology. So attached, because it's providing sense gratification. It provides something for the body. And because people are thinking, I am this body, they love the technology. So this is attachment, emotional attachment to the technology. And the technology, as technology increases, then people are able to get more and more and more and more sense gratification, because lobha, they are lusty, they're greedy for more sense gratification and getting more material things. So that's the result of science and then technology. And we cannot attack science. We cannot say anything about science, because people will object. No, you can't say anything about science. It's giving us technology for our sense gratification. How can you say anything against science? So in this way, people object if we criticize. But some people will listen. Some people definitely listen. So this is the position of Bhagavat. The Bhagavat provides enjoyment. It provides stories that contain enjoyment and sattvic and shuddha sattvic values, living. And the stories, the other stories, all sociology, cosmology, biology, all these stories, what kind of enjoyment do you get by studying? It's all meant to generate sense gratification, satisfy curiosity, and to feed the sense gratification, to foster identification with this body. And technology comes, and people are attached, emotionally attached, because of technology. No reason, no logic, no. It has no actual substance. There's no actual substance, but emotional attachment. So this Bhagavat, this is the real story, the genuine story. Beautiful Bhagavat. Sometimes Srimad Bhagavatam is called the beautiful Bhagavatam. Did I go over time? So, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions? So did I get it right this time? Shashti Vibhakti. Yadunam Shashti Bahuvachanam. Angshena, what is that? Vidya. Okay. Bhojapater. What's that? Bhojapater. Huh? No, Shashti. Oh, okay, I better stop because I'm going to make a mistake and they'll catch me. Okay. Bhojapater. Hare Krishna.